Hi everyone, welcome to term 2. Hope you all had a great Easter break. I know this term is looking a little bit different in regards to how we are learning, but I can promise you that we will still be teaching you and you will still be learning, whether you're at school or you're at home. So today's English lesson, what I'm going to do is just introduce the unit that we're doing this term and have a bit of a chat around that unit. Okay, so this term we're going to be examining feature articles. The feature article that we're using is the ruthless march of the toxic invaders. So what we're going to do over the next few weeks is actually unpack this feature article and have a look at it more closely, all the different parts of it. Throughout the unit, we'll be looking at how the text structure assists in helping us to understand the text. And we'll be looking at the vocabulary, the images and the language features that have been used to influence our interpretation of the text. When we talk about persuasive language features, we're talking about things like formal language, nouns, noun groups, verbs, facts and opinions, and emotive language. So let's start off having a look at the formal versus the informal language. So if you were to read a newspaper article or you would read a textbook, the language used in that is what we call formal language. It's standard English. I don't usually use slang, and there's more polite words within the text. Formal language doesn't use personal remarks or opinions, so you won't be finding in a textbook the author saying, I think this or I believe that. It's very much based on providing you with information. Informal language is more casual and spontaneous, and it's the sort of language we use when we're talking to family or friends. It's the language we use when we're sending text messages or like personal emails. We can use slang when we're using informal language. It's just the sort of language we use when we're just having a casual chat with someone. So having a look at the following two statements. The first one says that party was awesome. The second one says the gathering was enjoyable. So just have a think about it for a minute. Which one do you think is the formal statement and which one do you think is the informal statement, and why? Okay, so we can see that the formal statement was the gathering was enjoyable. We can see that there's use of those more polite words that we were talking about before. And the informal statement, that party was awesome. So when you're talking to your friends and they say to you, how was your weekend? Like, did you go to so-and-so's party? You had a really great time. You're like, yeah, that party was awesome. Okay, in a more formal setting, you would say the gathering was enjoyable. Okay, so looking at our types of nouns, we did these last term when we were looking at our narratives. The first type are the common nouns, which refers to a person, place or thing. Proper nouns, which refer to a specific person, place or thing. And our pronouns, which are used to represent people or things. Having a look at the noun groups. So remembering a noun group is a group of words around a noun or a pronoun, and they give us more information about that noun or that pronoun. So have a look at that following sentence there. The two big brown dogs next door were barking. Okay, so the noun in that is dogs, and the noun group is two big brown dogs next door. We could have simply just put a sentence, the two dogs next door were barking, but we've added more words in there around that noun to make not only the sentence more interesting, but it's also provided us with more information about the two dogs next door. When we look at verbs, we're looking at our doing words. So verbs express a physical action, a mental action, or a state of being. So things such as a physical action is to swim, a mental action is to think, a state of being is to appear. Fact versus opinion. Okay, so a fact is a statement that we can prove to be true. Okay, and an opinion is what a person thinks about something. So I might have an opinion about a TV show, and yet someone else may have another opinion about it. So I might really like that TV show, that's my opinion. Someone who doesn't like that TV show, that's their opinion. Neither of us are right or wrong in what we're saying. It's just how we feel and how we think, and that's our opinion. Okay, so looking at fact versus opinion, we've got two statements here. The first one is, I think it is going to be really cold today because it is cloudy. Is that a fact or an opinion? The second one is, today is cold because the Department of Meteorology stated the temperature is 18 degrees Celsius. Okay, so trying to work out which one's a fact and which one's an opinion, we can actually find clues within our sentences. So if we have a look at our first sentence, I think it is going to be really cold today because it is cloudy. Just those two words, I think, will tell you that's pretty much someone's opinion. That's not based on fact because it's what someone thinks. It's an actual factual statement. Okay, so as we can see here, I think it is going to be really cold today because it is cloudy. So that's the opinion, because the person is using some factual information, such as it's cloudy, but this information does not prove the statement is true or false. So it could be a summer day and it could be cloudy, but that doesn't mean on that summer day it's going to be cold. Okay, so that's why that one is an opinion, and also too because of the clues in the sentence, I think. Okay, the second one is a fact because we can prove that information to be true. You know, today's cold because the Department of Meteorology stated the temperature is 18 degrees Celsius. And we know in Australia, 18 degrees Celsius, we consider that cold. The last thing we're going to have a look at today is emotive language. So emotive language is the language that we use when we want to trigger an emotional response in someone. Okay, so when we're looking at our sentences, we've got a sentence with no emotive language is what we call a neutral sentence. That's the sort of sentence that doesn't engage your emotions, so there's no emotive language in that at all. When a writer wants us to agree with their opinion, they'll often use emotive language to engage our emotions, and the emotive language leaves you feeling either positive or negative. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So our neutral sentence, which has no emotive language, the man knocked on the door. Okay, just a statement, he knocked on the door. If we want to turn that to a positive sentence with emotive language, we could say the man tapped on the door. So when you think about someone tapping on a door, it's quite gentle and it's quite nice. So that leaves you with a positive feeling. If I said to you the man pounded on the door, you would know from just how you feel from when you hear the word pounded, that's more of a negative sentence there. With the emotive language is trying to get you to feel negative about that sentence. Okay, so that's it for our lesson today. What I would like you to do is go to your worksheet that's been provided and answer the questions. Try and answer as many questions as you can without referring back to the PowerPoint. Certainly once you've done all your questions, you've answered all your questions, come back, check them to the PowerPoint. But if you are finding it a little bit difficult, by all means come back to the PowerPoint, have another listen through it, and that will help you with your understanding. Okay, have a great rest of the day, and I will be back with you tomorrow to be looking at our feature article again.